From NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. With Jon Huntsman dropping out of the race for the Republican presidential nomination and throwing his support to former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, the field has now fallen to 5. They're meeting tonight for debate in South Carolina ahead of that state's primary this Saturday. With a narrowing of the field, it would presumably provide an opportunity for former Senator Rick Santorum and former Speaker Newt Gingrich to then battle for the top conservative spot. Also in the race, Texas Governor Rick Perry and U.S. Representative Ron Paul. More bad news for the Eurozone. NPR's Philip Reeves says the zone's rescue fund has been stripped of its AAA credit rating by Standard & Poor's.
The bailout fund's supposed to prop up Eurozone nations that are unable to borrow because of soaring interest rates. It can raise cash on the debt markets, thanks to the AAA status of its guarantors, of whom the biggest is Germany. But Standard & Poor's last week lowered the ratings of 2 of those guarantors, France and Austria, and now the agency's downgraded the fund itself by 1 notch. That means the fund will likely have to pay more to borrow. It was created to try to restore market confidence and stop the crisis spreading. But the problem's not gone away, so Europe's beleaguered leaders are now placing their hopes in a new permanent fund, which, if the Eurozone 17 governments agree, kicks in later this year. Philip Reeves, NPR News, London.
U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder joined the NAACP to celebrate the King holiday in South Carolina today. For years, civil rights groups have protested the Confederate flag, which still flies on the Capitol grounds. But NPR's Kathy Lohr reports this year the gathering also focused on protesting state efforts to pass voter ID laws.
The Attorney General said the right to vote is paramount, and Holder said voter ID laws infringe on that right.
The arc of American history has bent toward the inclusion, not the exclusion, of more of our fellow citizens in the electoral process. We must ensure that this continues, and this is my pledge to you today.
South Carolina is one of several states to pass a law that requires a photo ID to vote. The Justice Department blocked this state's law last year, saying it would discourage minorities from voting. But state officials argue it will prevent voter fraud. Kathy Lohr, NPR News, Columbia, South Carolina.
Nigerian police firing their weapons into the air to disperse crowds protesting